Hello, so today we're going to go over a VOD review, a pretty interesting one if you've never seen this before, but if you have seen it, you know it's going to be same old same old. This is going to be a game of scoped weapons Shaco. So I have not had a good chance to demonstrate scoped weapon Shaco on this channel, but it is one of the most broken situations you can have. If you don't know, scoped weapons is an augment that is a black market augment. It used to exist in the past and it's just notoriously known to be a broken augment that got removed in set 9 because you would basically give it to like a bunch of melee units and then they would become absolute monsters and it would just be like an instant win almost all the time. The main thing that you should always think about a lot of times with melee units, if you give them range and they have really high or really powerful AD scaling, a lot of times if you give those units range and attack speed, they become some of the best auto attackers in the game, but some of the best backline AD units because they're not originally intended to be backline units, so that's why they have different levels of AD scaling and scaling with attack speed, because you know they have to have some sort of survivability in order to survive in the front line, so there's like a counterbalance there. But if you remove the need to make survivability items on them, they can actually pump out insane amounts of damage. That's what we're going to be abusing or using as a trick here, which is very well known. This is like a giga broken comp. I've lost to scope weapon Shaco so many times. I lost with a Xayah 3. I complained about it many times on this channel. I had Xayah 3 full anima. I was 7 anima, Xayah 3 level 10, and I lost to scope weapon Shaco. Because the thing is, with Shaco especially, he scales his AD infinitely, and he also really scales well with attack speed, because if he's scaling his AD infinitely, that will also scale his auto attack damage to an absurd level. So scope weapons on Shaco in particular is a low cost unit that you can commit to very early in the game. You'll be extremely stable through all stages of the game, which I'll demonstrate and show in this video. And then also, it caps insanely high because he infinitely scales. So there's very few things that will be able to out cap him, even if you have like insane late game boards. So whenever I see it's a prismatic opener, which it is from this encounter, I always make sure to hold on to at least one Shaco just in case. You know, that's just my wish dream. It's like I don't want to ever be in a spot where I see scoped weapons and I don't have a Shaco. I'm not sure if that's how the black market augments work, but I've seen a lot of people with Aurora, either prismatic opener or prismatic ender, hit the black market and just win from an insane spot. So anyways, that's what we're doing here. We're playing scoped weapon Shaco. So we have a Shaco, we have scoped weapons. If you don't know, scoped weapons give infinite attack range and AD. So basically Shaco being in the backline now becomes a backline unit. This is basically what we're doing, and it's going to be like one of the easiest games that you'll ever play in your life if you ever have this situation. How does this comp kind of work? Basically, you want to play around Slayers, obviously because of Shaco. So I'm just going to do this here. Let me go to window capture. Should be this one. Yes, sir. So I'm just going to show you like what the board kind of looks like, right? So basically you just play all the Slayer units and Shaco. Similar to a Shaco reroll, I actually recently did a Shaco reroll game on this channel, but it'll look something like this. Sometimes you also put Zed in the backline just to give him the attack speed. And then you can basically you can also add in the syndicate units. When you're playing scope weapon Shaco, however, he's a backline unit. Do not ever kingpin bonus him. You never put the hat on him. Instead, you're putting the hat on Braum. With this comp, you usually roll for Shaco 3-star, and then eventually you make it to level 7, roll for 3-star Braum, 3-star Jarvan, and 3-star Senna. Having a really strong front line, the Shaco will kill everybody, but he mostly has single target damage, so you want to make sure that you have a really strong front line. So I wouldn't recommend leveling until you have your 3-star frontline units. So a lot of times you're going to be on level 7, try and roll for a 3-star frontline unit, and then if you don't have a Slayer +1, or if you don't have a Slayer emblem, then what you're going to want to do is eventually level for that sixth Slayer unit, or you can even drop the Syndicate for a little bit, and you can play like something like this on level 7, like without the Darius, because the Syndicate bonus is mostly just for frontline, but if you have Jarvan 3, it doesn't matter that much. Additionally, if you're pushing levels beyond this, you can play deeper into Syndicate just to have more frontline threats. But typically speaking, you're just going to add in like Divinicorp, like a Renekton could work out really well just to give some extra stats to your whole board and also benefit from scoped weapons. But either way, usually you're pretty happy if you make it to that point. We'll talk about items and everything else as we play the game. Scope weapon Shaco, obviously we can't filter by augments very easily in stats, so it's a little bit hard to like distinguish exactly what the perfect Shaco items are, but typically you just want attack speed. He has a lot of AD, so you don't want to scale his AD anymore. You want to have some mixture of damage amp and crit chance. So something that works really well is obviously like IE Guard Breaker, or IE Striker's Flail, and one attack speed item. Even a QSS can work really well, so you don't get accidentally Sejuani stunned. But anyways, we don't worry too much about stage 2. Until your Shaco has a bunch of items, you don't have to worry too much. Like, you won't really perform super well until you have items that scale that AD to an effective measure. So for these couple fights, I'm just trying to kill as many units as possible, position my Shaco on a side with a weaker tank. So on this side, you know, I think the Vi might tank more than this Leona one. So I'm trying to make sure that I kill the Leona at least, and then try and kill the other units. But typically you're playing like a 6-layer kind of comp, similar to how I showed you already. You could play other renditions like with 5 Syndicate and just have like 2 frontline Syndicates or MF as well. This is where the game gets kind of Looney Tunes, and I just know like, oh yeah, this is just good if I hit here. Slayer +1 is really powerful in this comp. It's even more powerful in normal Shaco comps. The main reason is that it allows you to fit your entire board on level 7, because you could just have the Slayer +1, you don't have to level to 8. And by having the extra Slayer emblem on level 7, you basically allow yourself to stay on level 7 for the entirety of the game. You just don't have to push any levels. You can roll for Jarvan 3, Braum 3, Senna 3 until, like, you know, the game is over. It doesn't matter. And that gives you a lot more of a happy, stable time, so to speak. So Toma traits is different, by the way. Now it doesn't actually work the way it used to work. So the way that it works is like every emblem or so has like a 25% chance or whatever. They changed it, so it's not based on like what traits you have in and the active traits and the inactive traits and all of that. Basically, like from your traits that you have in, there's like a random chance that one of them will be one of the traits that you have active. So it's a little bit high roll that I hit Slayer, obviously, but no matter what it was, I'm still playing Scope Weapon Shaco. It's just now I know for sure this is definitely a first. The only way you don't go first with this comp, by the way, is if you really low roll on Shaco, or if like people really outscale you because you low rolled on Shaco, right? If you don't get the Shaco stacks, obviously he scales infinitely, but if you're like stage 5, Shaco 2, and not enough stacks on him, he's obviously gonna die, he's gonna fall off, right? That's the only way you lose. If I hit Shaco 3 at any point in the game and I make it to level 7, and I'm rolling for Senna 3, Jarvan 3, Braum 3, if I make it anywhere in that ballpark, this is a first. And now with the Slayer emblem, it's like definitely a first, because it's just like you have Slayer emblem. What else can I do here? My items are a little bit weird, by the way, just because I'm starting with tier. I made Even Shroud instantly just to try and get some extra stacks on the Shaco, right? Reduce armor, try and get those extra kills early game. And here I'm just trying to like figure out a board that can kind of work really well. Another thing you can do, by the way, is you can also play Divinicorp with the Shaco. I prefer to just play the Braum because I like just having like the extra Syndicate bonus to make the Braum and the Darius strong, especially like mid game leading up to late game. So, but something you can do is you could just drop Syndicate altogether because you don't need to Syndicate your Shaco. And you could just play like straight up Divinicorp if you really wanted to. But either one, I think, is fine. Like I said, it's hard to sort out the exact stats and everything, especially, like, in general. Like, this is more of a niche situation. There's not, like, augment filtering. So it's a little bit awkward, but all of them are fine, right? It's usually the Braum 3 is the one that, like, is more game-winning, because Braum 3, Jarvan 3 makes it so that your Shaco will kill everything before they even get to him. But anyways, we just put in the 4 Slayer, trying to kill as many units as possible, like I said, trying to position in such a way that my Shaco stays alive and is able to get those kills. And we're just going to ride out the stage 2, right? We lost most of the rounds. Don't worry. Don't let that alarm you, because we're going to be really stable as soon as we get some items on Shaco. If I low roll the items really bad here, that might be a little bit of an issue. Because then like my stage 3 might be a little bit awkward, but especially with a glove on Shaco, I do have a good opportunity to make multiple items, i.e. QSS, guard breaker. Even in worst case scenario, I can make a Hodge because I can eventually put it on a different unit, so long as I'm like okay on my stage 3. I didn't want to slam Hodge already, obviously, because I was just trying to greed. I don't need the Omnivamp, I need backline item. Another glove is great, right? We could do a double crit glove pairing. And we have Rod here. Rod is okay because you want to make a Gwinsu at one point. Normally, I think Gwinsu is good with Scope Weapon Shaco. It does depend on your build, obviously, but I like Gwinsu just to make sure that I have the attack speed that he actually like pops off. Here we're going to roll till around 30-ish gold. We're just trying to collect as many copies of Shaco while we're still level 4, because level 4 you have better odds of seeing the 1-cost units. Here I'm going to reforge Tier. I get Belt. That's one of the components that can work with my build. We go Guard Breaker, Striker's Flail. It's going to be amazing. Don't worry. He attacks fast enough that it'll keep the Strikers working. His ult won't crit, but his regular auto attacks will, and his auto attacks chunk because he has infinite AD, right? So now if you watch this fight, this is with the Shaco 2, by the way. You can see that we're fighting like a board that has relatively like relative stability. And just watch the Shaco, he's just going to chunk everybody. every auto attack does like a quarter or more of their health. And that's only starting with like a lose streak on stage 2. It's only gonna get worse from here. It's ridiculous. I don't know. I'm an advocate for, like, you know, me, I'm just like, you know what, finally it's my time, so I'm showing you this video and everything. Clockwork Accelerator I'm down for, because I'm eventually gonna go for Jarvan 3, Braum 3. Like, I'm basically saying to myself, with the Slayer emblem, I'm gonna be on level 7 for the entirety of the game, so I don't need that much gold. I just need enough gold to be on level 7, and I'm just gonna roll on level 7 for the rest of my life, once I hit this Shaco, obviously. So I'm totally down for just Clockwork Accelerator here, just boosting the attack speed. Like I said, Shaco is scaling not only for his ult, but also for every single auto attack that he does. So the more attack speed you have, the more damage you'll do. It scales really well because AD, like large AD number, means that your auto attacks do a large amount of damage. It's similar to like a lot of other builds. You can think of it kind of like Aphelios in some cases, or Zeri, for example. You want the attack speed on the unit so that when they're like not their ult doing the damage, it's them just auto attacking a bunch that does the damage. Check out this board, right? We have some upgrades, we have some stuff. A lot of people have weak front lines. I really want to show you guys a fight on stage 3. This is with a Shaco 2, by the way, right? You can imagine, like, normally if you're playing Shaco and you have a Shaco 2, you're probably losing every one of these rounds. But look, they're not even close, right? The fight's over in like 2 seconds, right? And that's just with a striker's flow, right? When you have 3 items and you can actually multiply that AD to like an absurd number, the Shaco's gonna absolutely, like, he's gonna beam everybody to nothing. It won't even be close. But anyways, this is what I was saying. You can put Syndicate in. Never Syndicate crown your Shaco. Okay, can we all promise that? I've done it once in the past, I think. Does that mean I had scope weapons? I might have had just snipers focus. Maybe I had scope weapons one other time. Maybe I forgot. If I ever upload a scope weapons Shaco video and I'm saying this is my first time, please call me out on it, because then I'm really dumb. But I think this is the first. No, I think I played it one other time, actually. I might have had it one other time. I know I got railed by it. I kept a tally. I got railed by it like 5 times. So I'm definitely not in the even clear on LP gains versus LP lost because of this augment. But it's okay. Senna also gains a lot from the attack speed. As you can see here, something that I did, I'll pause for 1 second. I took out Senna and I put in Jarvan because I'm pretty sure that I'm going to win these fights anyways. I just don't want Senna to kill steal the Shaco. That's why. Senna does a lot of damage by herself, so like I want to make sure that my Shaco is getting as many of these kills as possible, because I'd rather have the Shaco get max stacks. As you can see, like, this is a board that's like particularly good, particularly high roll. They just got melted. It's like good night. The game's over, right? And this is with a Shaco 2, by the way. I don't even have a Shaco 3. If you high roll with this augment, this is why I'm saying, like, it's like so obviously like you play it, because this is like not even a high roll, right? I have 4 copies of Shaco and I rolled to 30 gold. I'm not like in a spot where I'm close stating Shaco 3. I'm not even halfway there, but I'm still winning every round on stage 3. And I have 1 item on a Shaco 2. Like, imagine if I high rolled my items and I had 3 items on a Shaco 2, or imagine if I high rolled my Shaco and I had a Shaco 3. Like, you can see how easy it would be to like absolutely steamroll a lobby with this type of augment. And then on top of that, it's very feast or famine. So the Shaco that's killing everything, he's continuing to grow more as he kills more units, which is absurd. So like, you know, we're just in a spot here. I'm just going to slow roll 50. So every single turn, I'm going to roll till around 50 gold. And of course, I would like to make it very clear, this is a little bit of a high roll, because obviously if we were playing like, there are parts of this that are high roll. I'm not trying to make it out that this is a low roll Shaco game. There's a huge high roll that is very glaring right in front of us, which is the Slayer emblem. As you can see, it allows me to stabilize on this level 5, where I can roll very efficiently for my units. Otherwise, I would need to drop Syndicate, and I think it would be better to play 4 Slayer rather than the 4 Syndicate. Or rather than the 3 Syndicate, because you usually rely on just Jarvan and some of the other units tanking long enough. Of course, that isn't to say that we're going to win every single one of these fights. Like, this guy, for example, looks particularly strong. We might get scammed or just like lose this fight just because, like, you know, TG and multiple units. Another thing that's great is that Shaco also, because he's a Slayer, has some Omnivamp, so he does have like a little bit of an ability to like survive some backline hits, which is really nice. So he's not just like instantly dead if somebody has backline access. But either way, we're going to slow roll 50 every single turn. So just make sure that we're like gathering units as much as possible. We have a lot of unit pairs, so we could roll a little bit deeper, but I want to not, I'm trying to greed because I'm playing for a first here. If you were not playing first, or if you were in like a really dire straits, like let's say you had like very low HP here, it makes a lot of sense to roll for like the Senna upgrade that you can then put on the board, the Braum upgrade which you can put on the board, and the Jarvan upgrade which you can put on the board. Obviously, if you wanted to be really strong, you want to win fights, I think it would be better to swap out one of the units, like for example this Braum, which is pretty useless, or maybe the Darius, which is a little bit less useful, and play the Senna. Because the Senna does do a lot of damage. But like I said, I'm trying to feast up the Shaco to make sure the Shaco does like maximum damage once I get to Shaco 3 on stage 4 and stage 5 to end the game on a high note. But anyways, I'm just trying to position always, because Shaco has infinite range, by the way, it makes a lot of sense to put Shaco opposite side to some of the carries in some of these cases, but it's a lot of it's dodging Sejuani. A lot of times with Shaco, especially, even if you're playing scope weapons, it helps out to have like a QSS instead of a Guinsoo. The Guinsoo is a little bit useless, by the way, because I have Clockwork Accelerator as well. So there is a little bit of like extra attack speed that I don't necessarily need. But based on my augments, I just thought Clockwork Accelerator was good enough to take. And at the time, I didn't have a Guinsoo. Sometimes bows are hard to come by, especially on a carousel round. And if I'm expected to win a couple rounds on stage 3 like I did, I'm not first pick on carousel. So I didn't think I'd get a Guinsoo, so that's why I took Clockwork Accelerator. But then there's not much else you can make with Rod. On the comp, it's either Morello, Gunblade, or Guinsoo when you're playing like Slayer type units. So I don't want to greed for any of the other items. I'd rather just like slam the Guinsoo, start doing damage, and play it like that. But anyways, like I said, slow roll 50 on level 5. Then we're going to quickly push to level 7. Make sure we're super stable on stage 4. We have 65 HP. We're not the highest HP in the lobby. But we still haven't hit everything. We still don't have our 3 items. We got dropped a sword. So our final items here make sense with our comp. Shaco does a lot of AD, so what are we going to do? We're going to get IE and Striker's Flail. Striker's Flail is going to give us a bunch of damage amp if we crit. IE is going to help us to crit and then also make our ults crit. So we're taking that base AD that we have, we're scaling it by a crit, and we're scaling it by damage amp. So it's just an amazing kit to have. We roll a little bit more, we hit Shaco 3, we're good to go. The game is over. Not quite just yet, but you know, it's fine. We're going to try and make frontline items now. We're basically eventually going to want to itemize our frontline unit with 3 items. So I make Sterix. It's okay on Jarvan. It's also okay on most frontline, so it's kind of alright. I try and reforge an item to see if I can make another frontline item just to make sure that I'm like, you know, scaling as well as possible. And yeah, check out the Shaco. Look. I'm almost one-shotting units, right? That's a good sign, because that means that I got enough stacks with the Shaco that he's still really competitive on this stage. Sometimes if you don't hit the Shaco early enough, or if you take scoped weapons, you don't have any Shacos to scale at the start of the game. Sometimes I've seen people do that. That's where you don't want to take it, right? Just seeing scoped weapons doesn't mean it's a scoped weapons game. You have to have at least one Shaco to start getting those stacks, because you want to snowball. Here, Call to Chaos could be fun. There's actually a lot of Call to Chaos that work really well. There's the one that gives the 3 Ornn artifacts, right? Either snipers, which would work well with the Shaco, infinite range, or the 3 frontline Hull Crushers. However, the lots of belts, or the belt one, is really good. It basically completely solves all my items. I can make Sunfire Cape, which is anti-heal. Right now my board has some Shred. It has some, it has some Sundering for my board, to increase the damage, the AD damage that I do. And then I just need anti-heal. So with that, I have open Chainmail. I can make Warmogs, and Sunfire. I'm good. I have lots of frontline now, right? I just went from having like a little bit of an awkward frontline. As you can see, they're still all 1-starred, to having a completed, everything's good, frontline's great. Here, you're going to notice I grief my own econ to just push the level. You don't have to do this, by the way. If you could just greed a little bit more, but the spike for 6 Slayer is really massive, because if I do a lot more damage, especially since my Shaco is so close to one-shotting a lot of units, what I'm hoping is that I'll help sustain my front line a little bit better. And I know that I'm going to be on level 7 the entire game, so I'm down to just like push this level now, make sure that I like start and keep a win streak for stage 4, instead of like playing like, you know, I'm going to lose this round, and then if I lose the next round, I'm going to want to sack a round because it's going to be an awkward interval to level. So I'd rather just level here, try and set up my entire stage 4 as a win streak. This is like the only part that's not super greedy. Like I said, if you are confident that you're going to win out, you could just go for the full win out. Here, I'm like, you know, it's my last game of the set probably, because once I hit Grandmaster, I am sure as hell not playing anymore. So, yeah, I was like, you know what, let's just make it safe, right? We greeded as much as we could. We have the Shaco 3, we're level 7. Let's just make sure that we win out, right? Or even if we don't go first, let's make sure it's at least a second, right? Guarantee the top 2, top 3, in case somebody hits some bullshit. But anyways, we hit the Braum 2 now. That's great. So I'm going to transfer the items onto the Braum, and I'm going to syndicate the Braum here. The Slayer emblem, when you have Slayer emblem, it also increases the healing because the lowest percentage HP Slayer gets healed by Slayer damage, or like the overkill on the Slayers. So I like it on Braum here because Braum, like between Braum and Darius, it's almost like it's a pretty good third item because you can think of it as like a really good healing item on the Braum. That's the way I look at it. So that's why I put the Slayer emblem on the Braum. Obviously, you could argue that a third tank item is going to be better on Braum, but if I have to pick who to Slayer, I'd rather, instead of like wasting my overheal saving the Darius, I'd rather continue to heal this Braum too. That's going to be really strong. Here we have high-end shopping playing Urgot. Doesn't matter. Am I scared about Urgot? No. Why? I'm scope up in Shaco. Who gives a fuck? The game's over. GG. Shake my hand. Right? I'm always checking my stacks, by the way. I'm just curious about it. I actually don't know what the proper stacks are for scope weapon Shaco, but, you know, I'm just looking at it, like, you know, for the nerds or people who really want to see it in chat or on the YouTube. You can look at the numbers and see if you got a higher Shaco number in your game. You know, go for it. Either way, here I would like sword. I'm working on Senna items now, right? I basically have most of my tank items sorted out, right? I have I have 3 items on the what's his name, the Braum. I have items on the Jarvan, right? I have 3 items Jarvan, 3 items Braum, right? More or less. I have open bow, so I want to, same with Shaco, the same way you want to scale up the Shaco damage with crit and damage amp, I want to scale up the Senna damage with either crit or damage amp, ideally a mixture of both. So with Senna, that's why I'm taking the Giant Slayer. It's like the best thing that I can probably make with bow, right? The other bow items, I don't need Sundering. I have some Sundering for my front line. I don't need anti-heal. I have anti-healing with my other items. You know, I'm not going to make Guinsoo on her because I already think Guinsoo is a little bit low EV. I might even move the Guinsoo off the Shaco at one point because I have Clockwork Accelerator, so I'm not going to take a Rod there. So I'm down to just make like damage amp and just continue to be strong these stages. This guy went for Jinx reroll with Rengar. I don't know why, but I think it might just be the Call to Chaos maybe gave him a Jinx 3 or something, so he kind of felt like he had to. But I don't really care. It's scope up in Shaco. I'm gonna keep saying that. Like, the thing is, Shaco's killing every single unit all of these rounds, and he has they're not even, like, you see how the rounds aren't even close? Like, of course the rounds are gonna get closer. Like, if I fight this guy, for example, Exotech Emblem, Zeri 2, Sejuani 2, Mordekaiser 2, I'm sure I might lose to that guy. This is the only guy I might lose to, but I have 60 HP, so it's not an issue. I'm trying to position against Sejuani, by the way. If you position your units towards the center and Sejuani ults the center unit, the bottom corner will never get hit with the Sejuani ult. That's like an important thing to just know. So that's what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to position for the Sejuani that's in my pool that I might fight. That's the person that's 96, 100 streaking, basically, that hasn't fought me yet. But either way, it's fine. This guy might be a little bit scary, but probably not. Feels bad. He upward mobility to level 9. I think he wanted to play Urgot. He just didn't hit any Urgots because he had Boombot Emblem and everything. And then you know what happened? Scope up in Shaco. You see, it's 4-6 and people are already dying. You know why? Because this lobby is messed up. There's one high roller, which is the person at 96 HP. And then there's me just hitting everybody for maximum damage because nobody can really deal with this. That's why this augment is so annoying if you ever have it in your lobby. Because there's literally nothing you can do. You're just waiting for the taxman to come by. Right? You're just sitting there and you're like, oh, I hope the taxman doesn't come and just like rail me. Oh, there he is. Oh, no, the taxman is here. It's very difficult to play around for like placements or anything like that, which is, you know, it is what it is. But sometimes you just have these Exodia situations. The thing is that I'm also infinitely scaling, right? So however strong I am now, I am continuing to get stronger and stronger. So it's very suffocating if you're in a spot like this. If you're in a spot against something like this. Remember what we said about Senna? We want to scale her with damage amp and crit. So we make IE here. Like I said, I have my frontline items more or less. I think Jarvan 3 is a better tank in some of these cases, especially with those items. So I might end up doing like Sterix, Warmogs on the Jarvan 3. Also, if you noticed, there's a guy going for Ziggs 3, by the way. Last Stand Ziggs 3. I only noticed now, but I don't think I missed any Ziggs. I wasn't paying attention. I was supposed to do that in this VOD review and kind of point it out for later. I forgot to do so. I don't think I saw any on level 7, but there's no need for me to just like roll to 0. After seeing Scoped Weapon Shaco beat Isaiah 3, I'm not really scared about this guy hitting Ziggs 3. And I know that sounds really, really obnoxious, but I have firsthand lost to this thing with Isaiah 3. I do not think the Ziggs 3 is going to be able to compete with me. So, like, I don't want to grief my econ to deny this guy. Now, if I wasn't playing Scope Weapon Shaco, I was playing some other thing like Cypher, for example, or something else that might get scammed and lose. Or if I was really low HP. Let's say I was like 1 HP here, right? Then I would roll to 0 for like Senna and hopefully find some Ziggs along the way. But, like, realistically, I'm like, like, you know, like, whatever. Also, like I said, as long as I go second this game, as long as I can go fourth this game, and I would be in GM threshold. Third this game means that I'm well within GM threshold. Second or first this game means that, like, I'd probably, like, there's no chance I'm not GM when I wake up tomorrow morning. Because the way that it does it is that it updates it at the end of the day, usually around, I think it's either midnight or 3 a.m. I forgot if it's, like, East Coast or West Coast when they do the updates to all the ladders. But that's when they update, and then if you're in the top 750 based on your LP, then you will just get the title of Grandmaster. It'll be like an upgrade. So I am like, after this game, I'm probably like 40 points ahead of where the cutoff is, which means that like all the people that are playing below have to like get a first, right? It's very like usually like you're safe. Like you're not entirely safe, by the way, but like I don't think people are like grinding that hard tonight. If I don't get GM, then I'll play another game, you know what I mean, until I hit it. But like it's fine. Check out this, by the way. Look at this. Look at this garbage. Didn't it look close? That Shaco was holding on by a thread there. That was a little bit of a scary fight, if I have to say so myself. That guy had a lot of damage on deck. And this MF just sometimes just like finds the line, just completely destroys you. But anyways, like I said here, the main win condition is just make sure my front line is stable enough to support the Shaco killing everybody. So I'm just going for Braum 3, Jarvan 3, and Senna 3. Senna 3 should be enough in order to have a dual carry for damage. If I have extra damage items, I can always itemize the Z afterwards. A lot of times, if you're in a spot like this, you might want to roll a little bit deeper if you don't have the Slayer emblem. Because, like, obviously then going 8 would give you the 6 Slayer, 3 Syndicate version here. Or if you're not playing the Syndicate units, it would give you the Divinicorp version if you're playing Divinicorps instead of the Braum Darius. In those cases, I can't tell you for sure which one to do, because it's a little bit awkward without the Slayer emblem. But typically what I do is I drop Darius and I just play 6 Slayer on this stage. I think it's a little bit better. Or I play, if my Shaco has scaled up enough, like if I'm playing Shaco reroll not scoped weapons and I'm just playing like normal Shaco reroll, I'll keep Syndicate in, because then Syndicate matters a lot for normal Shaco, because obviously he's the one that gets the bonus because he gets the teleporting and the damage amp. In that case, then I would just play like an extra Divinicorp unit. Usually I just play like, what's it called? The other guy. Like I play 4 Slayer, 3 Syndicate, and we call it a day, and then we just put in somebody like some sort of Divinicorp bonus. Like Gragas. Gragas is what I was looking for. Here I take Gunblade. It's just to help like everybody sustain themselves. I was looking for a Senna item and I didn't see one that I liked, so I just took Gunblade. I'm just gonna put on Senna. Here we roll a little bit. We're one off this guy. I saw somebody holding a Zeri, the guy in first place with 82 HP. So I said I'm just gonna hold the Zeri here just to make sure that I don't lose to the Zeri. Now that I have Jarvan 3, I'm gonna itemize the Jarvan. Sterix is pretty good on him. He has good AD scaling, obviously, because he's Slayer. And we just put all the HP on him. Something else you can do, by the way, here. I didn't mention it before, but you could also, if you make it to certain levels, you could also play 4 Vanguard. It's a little bit harder to fit in. Because usually if you're playing 4 Vanguard, it's hard to fit in 6 Slayer as well. Because it just doesn't fit in very nicely unless you're like level 9, I think. Actually, maybe you can fit it on level 7. Let me double check. Does it fit in? You'd have to drop Syndicate, right? If I drop Syndicate, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, you can actually fit it on level 8. You just have to drop Syndicate, though. But that's what I was saying. Like, you could do that. You could play 4 Vanguard, and that's probably a little bit better than having Syndicate in. Because it's not on the Shaco. Actually, I think I like that better, now that I think about it. I think you drop Darius, and I should be playing Vanguard on level 8. Like, if I make it to level 8. Yeah, that's probably an optimization. So here, I'll show you what I was talking about. Ready? Here you go. So I'm saying like this, right? Like if you have a Slayer +1, this is probably better because you just have more frontline. Where's the Slayer emblem? It's a cloak. Yeah. Like this. 6 Slayer, 4 Vanguard on level 8. This is probably like your better cap if you're playing Scope Weapon Shaco. Something like this. Just to have a little bit more frontline. I don't think I end up doing that this game because I think the game ends before I can even make it to level 8. Here I have good positioning. The MF isn't going to really kill my Shaco anytime soon. So it's fine. Also, the guy that was going for Ziggs 3 died before he hit Ziggs 3. So we don't even have to worry about that. But yeah, watch this. Ready? It's like almost a one tap on everybody. Look how taxing the lobby is. It's 5-6. Everybody's dead. The game's almost over. And it's been only like 30 minutes. It's not even a long game. It's like a very short game. But anyways, we're still going to roll for Senna 3, Braum 3. Like, there's no reason to not. Just because, like, we care more about the front line. Our board's complete, right? If our board's complete on 7, we're not really leveling for anything. If I hit, like, a Renekton while I'm rolling, then I'll play Renekton with Slayer Emblem. That's obviously going to be better. And also get benefits from scoped weapons pretty well. Because he likes attack speed and infinite range. So, we could do that. But I don't have a Renekton, so I don't have to worry about that just yet. Also, the Zeri player is trying to cap really high to try and beat me. So they have, what's it called? We'll see him next time we play him. They have Mordekaiser 3. You can look at the side of the screen right now at the top. They just hit Mordekaiser 3 and they already had Varus 3. So they actually have a really insane spot to try and outcap me. Which is fine, but I still don't think it matters. Here I just took another frontline item because I wasn't sure. What were my item choices actually? Maybe this was a mistake. Yeah, I don't like any of these, right? Like, I don't like... I want a Zed item, and I don't like any of these, so I think I'm just going to move the anti-heal onto the Zed, the Sunfire Cape, because if Zed dives and, like, teleports to a backline unit, I'm hoping that the Zed can then apply anti-heal to, like, the backline units a little bit better, so that they don't, like, recover from anything. Like, I think that's kind of, like, good sometimes. And also, I'd rather just have 3 really good items on Braum. Maybe I move the Slayer Emblem, but I can't move it just yet because, like, there's no need to do it right now. Yeah, and then I just put that, and then, yeah, I think I like this better. I wish I had a Zed item. If I had a Zed item in the Anvil, I would have taken the Zed item. Here, horrible positioning. The Sejuani is going to ult my backline, so I might actually lose this fight. Because the thing is that, I'm going to get ulted, like, twice. See, so I got ulted 2 times, and I'm going to get stunned by, Varus 3. This person has enough damage to out DPS, for sure. They're level 9. They have everything upgraded. So I lose this fight, right? That's a positioning diff. I just have to be on opposite side. Or I have to position my unit so that the Sejuani doesn't stun my backline. So I have to move this Braum over to the left. Or, sorry, over to the right. Right? If I move the Braum over to the right, then I'm in an okay spot. Also, I don't know if I should put Zed in the back line or if I should put Zed in the front line. Because I want to get this Sunfire off a little bit earlier. So I'm kind of down to just put Zed in the front line, just sack the scoped weapons. Here I level to 8. I think I'm going to look for Vanguard here. If I remember correctly, I was looking for Vanguard. I find Aurora. I just don't think I find the Vanguard units in time before the game ends. But this guy's easy to beat, by the way, right? Because we're still scaling. Even in these fights, and the scaling is substantial because if you can imagine, Shaco is killing on average, like let's say he gets half the kills and Senna gets the other half. It's late in the game. He's getting like 4 to 5 kills per fight, which is 4 to 5 stacks of AD. Like, it's actually a lot. So the scaling is still substantial. Like, you get, because the thing about scaling is that, like, there's different thresholds, right? You either 3-tap the unit, or you 2-tap the unit, or you 1-tap the unit. So getting to those thresholds where I can 1-tap units is still a dream that is achievable because I have 36 HP. I still have time to spare here. But anyways, we could roll a little bit here. Like, there's nothing I'm really going for. Like I said, I have Braum 3, Jarvan 3, Senna 3. We hit everything. So we're totally fine. I don't think anybody can really beat me if I position well. I just can't get stunned a lot. It would have been nice to have QSS, but it's okay. I know my Zed positioning is weird. I was just trying to be like opposite side here. But this guy switched anyway, so it's kind of bad. But it's okay. I could also maybe try going backline Zed. I'm not sure if I backline Zed here if I have Sunfire on him. But yeah, it's just not gonna happen. Like, guy's stuck level 8, the poor guy. But he is high-end shopping with a fawn, so it makes sense. There's no need for him to level. He just goes for that on his whole board. QSS is amazing here. I'm 100% taking QSS. As long as I win one fight, then I can guarantee the win because I can just swap the Gwinsu with the QSS. So this guy, if he really wanted to try and beat me here, his best choice probably, I don't know if this gives him Kabuko too, but I think his best choice is to deny QSS here, which I thought he was going to do, but then he just went for Kabuko. So that's fine. Fine by me. I don't have a remover, by the way. You can see on the left side of the screen, I don't have a remover for this fight, but it's okay. Like, I'm gonna get a remover in one turn, so all I have to do is win one fight. I just have to position well one time here, make sure that I don't get Sejuani stunned, which, as you can see, I'm trying to position my units so that I'm anti-Sejuani, right? You want to put your units on one side, unit in the corner. Even if he puts his Sejuani on this side, it won't stun the Shaco. He's putting Sejuani full on this side. Okay, wait. I spoke too soon. Okay, it's fine. It's fine. I could have lost that fight, actually. There was a chance I lose that fight, but I don't think so. I think my Shaco just does too much damage. Look at that Mordekaiser 3 just die instantly. Like, I'm pretty sure that Sejuani could no longer, like, chain stun, even if this person positioned correctly. But I also messed up my positioning. I needed to move my Jarvan over one hex, and then the Sejuani would always target the Braum. But another thing I can do is I can just move everybody backline, right? I could just move everybody back a little bit, and it would probably be better off. I could also roll for 4 Vanguard here. It's probably better right now. I think I'm just greeding a little bit. Like, maybe I can make it to level 9 and then just play everything. Yeah. This is what I was trying to say. And then I should move, and then move, no, don't put the fucking Braum up there. What am I doing? Oh, I'm choking. Look, I choked. I need to move the Mundo and the Darius to the other side, and then the Sejuani will never ult me. But anyways, this guy put the Sejuani on the wrong side again, so it's fine. We won one fight anyway, so it doesn't matter, because next fight we have QSS, and then we never have to worry about it anyways. Right, the Gwinsu doesn't matter that much. We just remove Gwinsu, put QSS, and then we would have won anyways. Anyway, it's a first. GG. Hopefully I don't have to play anymore, because I've been playing a little bit offline. I've been doing, like, bad medicine. Hopefully that's enough. Anyways, that's a Scope Weapon Shaco game. Hopefully that was fun and enjoyable. I tried to make it as spruce and as fun as possible. Like, you know, some of these games, you know, maybe a little bit less fun or maybe a little bit less interesting. If you ever have Scope Weapon Shaco, that's kind of what you're supposed to do, more or less, right? Adjust your game plan. I tried to give you tips along the way of like what I would do differently if things went differently. So take those into consideration as well. But don't throw your spot, right? It's obviously just, it's game winning, right? Besides getting stunned, which why I recommend QSS a lot of the time, try and find a QSS or some sort of way of dealing with that stun in a meaningful way, just so you don't get railed that way. That was pretty much the only fight I lost, was when the Sejuani double stunned the Shaco. Other than that, you're usually fine to go. Just get all your 3 stars, call it a day. Thanks for watching. See ya. Have a great day. Bye bye.